to you. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Okay. So just in case you didn't know, I'm educate you on from a man's perspective. When y'all say words like sassy, that's the equivalent of me calling you a dyke. Like,
no, it's not.
Sweetheart, I'm telling you from a man's perspective.
No. Give me
you
the
can
word
agree
besides.
or not agree.
Give me a word besides dyke, because I didn't call you. I didn't say any word.
You didn't even say sassy. No. You're saying sassy now.
Because I said that's why I responded that way, because I feel like when a man talks about things that can change, you can go and take a woman to the hair salon. I can take you to the gym. When you came out, I didn't pop a balloon because you had a stomach. My ex has a ball of belly. We like to eat. I don't talk about people's appearance. If it's not for me, they're not for me. But I don't go around picking at men's physical appearance because I could take him to the gym. That's not a thing. You could take her to the hair salon. So even when I said that with you, you went back and forth with me. And I consider that very feminine when a man can't be a woman and let her express it. So you got to be a me too. You have to one up me. That's what you did. I consider that very feminine. When a man gives me that level of femininity, me as a woman, I feel like my femininity is attacked because you're not being masculine.
You guys can hear me now, right? My bad. Listen, I guess that's what happens when you're not really paying attention. Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91, in conjunction with LBB coaching platform as well. We are talking to you today about Pop the Balloon, and I thought this would be a really great conversation to have, right? We're going to talk about communication for the next probably like 30 to 45 minutes. And I think this particular episode of Pop the Balloon caught my eye because of the level of conversation that's happening between two parties that are actually not paying attention and actually not listening. Very much like you couldn't hear me on the microphone, it's very much how people can't hear each other in the conversation, right? These two, even if you don't know the background of the situation, you can pay attention to what's being said between the two of them and kind of get a picture of what's happening between the two of them. When we're trying to communicate, we are trying to be understood. But a lot of times when we get into communication, we're trying to have a fight. We're trying to win. We're trying to beat someone up. We're trying to let somebody know that we're better than them. We're trying to get a one-up on them. And I felt like both parties here, regardless of the way the tactics that they use in this conversation, one may seem worse than the other, but I'm going to be very honest. Both of them were doing similar things in terms of not bringing about understanding to the conversation. Right. And I could sense by tone, by words, by the energy that was brought into the conversation, that neither party was going to be able to fully understand what each person was actually saying in the conversation. So I don't waste much time. I want to give you a little bit of a masterclass in communication. It's some of the stuff that we do in coaching as well. And I want you to be able to understand what actually went wrong here between the two of them. So I'm going to go to the very beginning. Give you a bit of idea of what actually happened in this conversation between the two of them. In fact, this part here actually kind of eloquently displays what happened between the two of them. If you listen to this, we'll then have a discussion. So make sure first and foremost, you're liking, you're sharing, you are subscribing to the channel. Why? Because you get updates of when we upload and when we go live, and also when we drop community posts as well for you guys. All right, let's get into this video.
Word besides dyke, because I didn't call you. I didn't say any word.
You didn't even say sassy. No. You're saying sassy now.
Because I said that's why I responded that way, because I feel like when a man talks about things that can change, you can go and take a woman to the hair salon. I can take you to the gym. When you came out, I didn't pop a balloon because you had a stomach. My ex has a ball of belly. We like to eat. I don't talk about people's appearance. If it's not for me, they're not for me. But I don't go around picking at men's physical appearance because I could take him to the gym. That's not a thing. You could take her to the hair salon. So even when I said that with you, you went back and forth with me. And I consider that very feminine when a man can't be a woman and let her express it. So you got to be a me too. You have to one up me. That's what you did. I consider that very feminine. When a man gives me that level of femininity, me as a woman, I feel like my femininity is attacked because you're not being masculine. You're being feminine.
Okay, Chichi.
Okay, so this is only a part of the conversation, right? And we'll go to a very, very beginning so you can actually get an understanding. But I felt this is a critical part of the conversation because Chi-Chi here alludes to him not being so masculine, right? She alludes to the fact that our brother Danny here is somebody who is unwilling to be in his masculine form because he went back and forth with her. What was the conversation actually about? Well, during the Pop the Balloon episode, he decided to say that he felt like he doesn't want to, a deal breaker for him is women with bad wigs. Okay. All right. He didn't say specifically anybody in that lineup, but he said in general, women with bad wigs. I want to first and foremost say this. I personally don't think there was an issue of him saying women with bad wigs is a deal breaker. The issue is the extra additive that he used within the space of that conversation. He actually went on to say that women with bad wigs, it's like a woman with, it's like a woman with disabilities or whatever, right? The extra adjective on top of that is what makes it a problem, right? So when he has an added extra additive of women with bad wigs and then equates it to disability as a joke, that is where we're going to have a problem, right? The other party can be offended by that particular comment. You may have been funny, but the other person may not take it as being funny. Well, in that case, what do? Do you just continue to move forward, or is it simply an adjustment of an apology and moving forward? I personally think in this situation, a simple apology would have sufficed and said, look, my bad. You know, I understand it was silly of me. I still stand by my statement of a bad wig is still my deal breaker. But then when you add the extra additive of saying it's like a disability, first of all, it's a disrespect to ableist, it's ableist in a sense, and disrespectful to people, anybody who has a disability, first and foremost. Number two, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what someone has, an issue someone has. Maybe they have a bad wig or whatever, quote unquote. But you saying it's a disability, maybe they do have, maybe they've gone through cancer, maybe they've gone through something that's very sensitive. You don't know, right? So certain comments just don't need to be spoken about. In fact, the Bible says, be seasoned with your words, being very careful of what you joke about, because you just never know, right? Now, of course, we all make jokes and it can go wrong. In that moment, you apologize and say, I'm sorry, that is not my intention. I can understand that my impact has impacted you, but that's not my intention, right? So that was the point that Chi-Chi was actually grasping at. But in amongst all that conversation, Chi-Chi isn't innocent. In fact, when we go through the course of the different clips, you're going to see just that Chi-Chi had a great idea and a right point, but her delivery is oh so bad. And actually, just because you're right doesn't mean that when you say you're right or do something that you're actually still right. In you applying a behavior or an action, it can make you wrong. You are entitled to be angry. The Bible says be angry, but sin not. So you can be angry, but the way that you're angry, the action that's taken from your emotion can now make you wrong, even though you were the one that was done dirty or the action was done against you. So it's important that not only is the offendee able to recognize where they've offended, but it's also important that the person who's been offended also doesn't go and then offend the other person as a retaliation, say it's just worthy. Well, then your point will become null and void. You can't accuse somebody of being offensive and offend back and then expect for their behavior to change. It's not going to happen, right? But let's get into this. Let's go back to the very beginning. I want to go to the very beginning because some of this conversation started from early, and it was talking about the bag wig situation because they were asking him what it was. So let's have a little look at this.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. My mother to the day had the same routine. Her hair's in a ponytail. My cousins are literally Indian. They from India. I grew up with them. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't even really understand that women wore extensions until I got to college. So I just didn't experience it. Like the women I dated, my son's mother, we know each other since 8th grade. She doesn't wear it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just not accustomed to it. So but basically I think is when I like to be tricked. I like to is it a wig or is it like, you know what I'm saying? So most times the women I talk to will wear like sew-ins or something like that and in the front, you don't really can tell
so they have the leave out with the leave in the back. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like your hair. You understand what I'm saying?
But that's not a wig. We talking about wigs. What's a bad wig to you? Not a bad weave.
Okay.
Like a hump. Like what's a bad wig to you? Like
a
it's
wig.
Not flat enough. Like a wig, a lace.
When you can tell what it is instantly. If you was dating a man and you could tell that his hair was a toupee, you would feel the same way.
Right. Okay, but so when guys talk about be able to look and know that a wig is a wig. There's no way to make it blend into your head. Like no, but what he's saying, the important thing that Danny's saying is that if a girl that cannot tell the difference between a good wig and a bad wig, that's the important statement that he's making right there. But he still hasn't really told us what the bad wig is. That's y'all about to make me talk, man. I'm trying to be like I'm about to.
All right, so Danny, tell us what is a bad wig.
A bad wig to me is when it look like you just put it on like a hat. What?
Now, of course, he has more time to be able to explain what a bad wig is, right? And I think we can all understand what he means by a bad wig when he explains it about it just being lumped on, right? A good wig and a bad wig. You know, if you've got a keen eye, you will see a bad wig and a good wig, right? Now, the key point is this. There is actually no problem with him actually describing what he prefers in a partner. He can say about, I want a partner that has good wig, right? I'm going to be honest with you. I will dodge a woman with bad hair, but then a woman will dodge me with bad teeth. It is what it is. A lot of us don't say it, but it's absolute truth, right? And you hear women say they want a man with good teeth. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if a woman goes on to start cussing and say, you know, his teeth looks like digga, digga, digga. It's like when he has teeth like that, it looks like digga, digga, digga. And they add the adjectives. That's where the issue is. The issue actually isn't the fact that he mentions a bad wig. The issue is what he says after the wig. So it's important to make that the distinction very, very clear, because what will end up happening is people start being very indirect rather than being direct. It's okay to be direct. We just don't have to be rude, right? You're having a laugh at somebody else's expense. Like, so when he says, obviously, that I just don't deal with bad wigs. I want a wig. I don't want a wig that looks like you've just come to on. Fine. Would have been fine if you left it there. But the extra added comment is where people are going to get offended. Now, he's funny here, right? Because he has more time to explain. He has more time to be able to go through the process. He takes his time because they've given him more time. On the show Pop the Balloon, he doesn't get that time. But at the same time, one has to read the room about how they're going to communicate to say something. Because if I know that something is sensitive, I know that teeth, I know that someone's hair, I know that someone's body, I know that somebody's looks are sensitive to both men and to women. Somebody's wallet is sensitive to a man. Penis size is sensitive to a man's performance in a bedroom is sensitive to a man. There are sensitivities to both men and women. When I know those sensitivities, I don't just go about it and say it anyhow, anyway, to offend people, because I have to understand that the person who I want it to be a recipient of, I have to understand that they may not feel comfortable. So me making that joke at their expense, I must know the crowd I'm making that joke with. There are certain jokes that are not meant to be made in public. There are jokes that we make behind doors with people that we know very well, and we can make those jokes. There are jokes that you will never say out loud, because you read the room, because you understand, because you understood your audience. But when you are in public, there's certain things you cannot say. And if you're willing to say certain things in public in here, then I'm a bit afraid of what you're saying in private. You ain't holding back nothing back. All right. So that is also a thing to say. Again, we will come on to cheat sheet in a second. I'm just kind of laying the groundwork again about where communication is very important for both people to be able to remain in a relationship. And this is why a lot of times both men and women are going to remain single in their dating phases, because they're unwilling to really adjust and understand where each person's coming from. Now, Chi Chi's going to say something about what she feels about his comments and about him as well. Let's go.
People with my wigs, and I used to make wigs. I know what a good wig looks like. However, agreeing with Danny, my reason I popped was because she didn't say what do you like and not like. She said, what's a deal breaker? And as soon as he responded, I felt like he was being a funny guy. I'm like, he didn't come here for love. What did he come here for? A bad wig is a deal breaker? That's not a and then you called it a disability. You felt like it was a disorder or something like that. You felt like it was a mental disorder. I'm like, no, a mental disorder is someone who's a pathological liar or a cheater.
Now let's pause it right there. I think that comment is actually very concerning. I can't lie to you. Like, not knowing your audience and being in public and saying that a bad wig is like a disability, it's really not a joke. Like, it's not a joke that I would make. It's not, within my preference, it's not a joke I would actually make. I wouldn't feel comfortable making such a joke, right? So it's not a problem that I don't have a problem with him choosing me. I don't like bad wig either. You know what I'm saying to you? I love braids. You know what I'm saying to you? I love the cornrows. I love box braids. I love all that kind of styles. I do. You know what I mean? I love them. But I'm not about to now tell you that, you know what, a bad wig or a bad braid or a bad cornrow looks like you are a slave on a shit. Like, I must know my audience. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I just wouldn't say it. Like, I wouldn't say it when you know you're talking to women. This doesn't make sense. This tells me that you have crassness and you are unable to tame the tongue that you have in specific company. I can't bring you around certain people. And that's the key point. Like, I wouldn't want to bring you around certain people because your tongue would get us all into trouble. And so it's very interesting. In fact, it's yesterday I had a little situation, and I was with some guys, and the way they were talking to this girl, I was like, blood, I gotta go. I said, I can't talk to women this way. Like the way that I roll, the way you're talking to women, I can't talk to them. And I don't want to be included in them thinking that I talk like that to women, like the way you are. It's not my thing. So you have to understand that we are trying to communicate and we're trying to let the recipient receive what we're trying to say. And it may sound funny, but it's at the expense of somebody else. So at that point, what do you do as a good human being? When they tell you, you say, you know what? My bad. That extra part didn't need to be said. I still believe in bad wigs, but I apologize. I made a mistake, right? And we move on. Okay.
That's a deal breaker. So it was because of the words. He said deal breaker. And someone who's trying to find love doesn't say a bad wig. And then also, no offense, Danny, when a man speaks on a woman's beauty.
Now let's pause it right there. She actually is making 2 points, right? She's making 2 points. Okay. Someone asked me if I corrected my friend. He wasn't my friend like that, but yes, I did correct him. But at that point, you can't stop some people. So I told him, listen, I gotta go. So I left. Yeah, I don't want to be around that. I told him I gotta go and I left. You know what I'm saying to you? And I moved on. But the thing here that she just made as a point, right, which is very important. So I want to just quickly go back to what her point was here, just so you hear it.
So it was because of the words. He said deal breaker, and someone who's trying to find love doesn't say a bad wig. And then also, no offense, Danny, when a man speaks on a woman's beauty.
Okay, so she's gonna make 2 points. The first point she's making, about is she doesn't feel like that him saying that a bad wig can be a deal breaker. I'm gonna be very honest with you, it's always a deal breaker. I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of men don't tell you, but it's been a deal breaker for time. Yeah, it's a deal breaker in the sense of when you have bad hair, just like you got, and for men, because we're very visual, they try to, if it's bad, you know what I mean? It's not gonna be every man's deal breaker. By the way, it's not every man's deal breaker, but a bad hair for a lot of men, them they just like bad teeth for a woman, it's gonna be a it's like he's cool, but she ain't gonna say it, but your teeth bad. It's just that's why I don't want to date him, and that's okay. And that's just a reality of life. We can't lie about it. You know what I'm saying too? It's just a reality of life. There are certain things that are going to be deal breakers for some people. Like good set of teeth. Teeth can be changed. But yet it's a deal breaker for somebody. It's not about whether it can be changed or not. It's about, we've always said that if you meet somebody, why are you trying to change them? And then she's saying that you can't have a deal breaker because it can be changed. But we've already said that we shouldn't be meeting people and trying to change them. Your weight can be changed. So should I date you going to say to you, oh, well, her weight can change, so I can take her to the gym? That's what she actually says later on. It's actually controlling. She doesn't even realize that by saying that you're going to be coming to a place of controllingness, and you're also not accepting them for who they actually are because you believe you can change them. That's problematic. It sounds cute at first when you say it, but it's actually very problematic. Right? So this first point about deal breakers, I think he's absolutely right to have a deal breaker when it comes to it being a bad hair. Okay, it's up to him. If he wants to feel like it's bad hair, he shouldn't have to date her. Why? Because it will be a problem later on, which he will mention, and it can potentially become an issue. He wants somebody who already has a mindset of that. Now, if that woman's open to saying, look, you know more about hair than I do, then go. That's if they get to that conversation. But I don't know about y'all. Okay, all right. I don't know about y'all. Listen, let me be honest with you. I know some women have decided to leave me alone because the smile wasn't popping. I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying to you? I can never be mad at a woman who says, Coach, I can't be lying to you, yeah? The teeth thing. Now, the teeth thing could change. It could change. It could easily change. Look, give it 18 months. The teeth, I mean, it's taking me about 6 months. But look, you know what I mean? It can be changed. But would I be remiss if somebody said to me, Coach, the reason why I can't date you is because of the teeth thing? I'd be like, you know what? I respect it because that's what you want, and I don't need you trying to change me. Now, even if it's for the better of me, it doesn't make a difference. It's what you want. Okay? All right. So it's important to understand that. Now, point number 2.
Beauty, whether it's her nails, her lashes, or her wig, I classify it as sassy. No offense, once again.
All right, okay. Chichi, I think we're taking it too far there.
Yeah, because
I classify it as sassy because a thing a woman does for her own beauty is not for you. I'm going to double down because
Chichi,
I stand on what I said.
Now, let's pause it right here. Now, the problem that we have at the moment is she's going to say that because he spoke about a woman's looks, he's being sassy. whilst I want to accept her point of view, I would love to know a bit more about this point of view, which she does explain. So we'll get in a sec. But the issue that I have behind this is it stops the conversation from happening, right? Because we're now going to go into the quote unquote the insult, right? It's just like saying the woman is masculine in a conversation with her. If I say to you in a conversation and we're having this kind of interaction that they're having, and I say to you you're masculine, it's going to probably stop you from having a conversation because you're going to feel like you're being insulted. There's a context and a time to say this kind of line, saying someone is sassy. But let's run with it. She's saying he's sassy because he said that he spoke on a woman's looks, okay? But then she then added, the looks are for a woman only. My problem with this is that's incorrect. If you're dating, your looks are not for you. Your looks are for the other person, right? Because you're trying to attract the other person. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So if it's like me saying, well, you know, my teeth are for me. They're for me to chew food. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. You're masculine for doing that, or you and it also automatically puts you in a position. It's like, no. If you're trying to draw in the other party, right? Because you're not. This is for you to draw the other party. We're talking about two different things here. When we talk about women, let's say, for instance, wearing makeup, right? They may say it's for them, fine. But when you're looking about dating, it no longer is for you only, because you're trying to attract the opposite sex. So whatever you're doing is as a form of attraction, right? So in this space now, she's used the word sassy, and I think it's the context of what she's using. I think and because the conversation we're having now, multiple conversations. The first conversation we're talking about is deal breakers. Okay, 2. Then she talks about a man talking about looks. I think the context about it is interesting. So because he added a comment about looking like a disability, I'm not going to begrudge her on the sassy comment, but she has to make that very clear. Do you get what I'm saying to you? You have to make that very, very clear. So that you make a distinction between him talking about looks in general, like men sometimes do talk about looks in general, or we're talking about when we are about to date, this is what I'm looking for. That's completely different. That's what I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying to you? So I think making that difference between the two is really important as well. Okay.
Do you know the amount of times that women comment on guys, right? They don't look, they don't like how they look, the attraction, all of that. But if a guy talks about it, it's an issue. When a girl talks about it, you go, you tell him how it is, right?
But he started it.
No, that's double standards, right?
No.
That's what you said. Wigs are a disability. That's what you said. It's whatever disorder.
First of all, let me tell you,
that's a funny guy, not someone looking for love.
Okay, let's hear from Daddy. Go ahead, Daddy. You tell him how it is, right?
But he started it.
No, that's not.
Sorry, apologies. So in this space, I went backwards. Sorry. As you can see, right, BM obviously then tries to correct what Chi said. He ends up saying to her that you know, that women talk about men's looks, etc., right? And then what she ends up going on to say is that, oh, but he started it. And that is where I said, okay, so Chi, I want you to pay attention to what you just did here. I think he's wrong for what he said in terms of adding an adjective. But then if you say, but he started it, so you're now going to talk about his looks or someone else's looks, which, by the way, he didn't speak about your looks specifically. He spoke about in general. But still, nonetheless, following that lane of communication, if you then say, well, he started it, this is the immaturity we're talking about. This tells me that you're also immature in this space because you are trying to correct him. And in the months of correcting him, you are doing the exact same thing he did. How can you correct him? Crazy. You can't. Right? Many of us have done this before where it's like we want to correct someone for the way they're behaving, but we do the exact same thing to them to correct them. Well, how's that work? Do you see what I'm saying to you? So if you insult me and then I insult you and tell you, well, you know, I don't want to be insulted. Well, then how am I correcting you? I've just insulted you too. So now we're both in the mud. So your point then gets lost in translation because now you're doing the exact same thing he's doing. Right? This is showing us an immaturity on both of them because he's unwilling to yield and apologize, and she's unwilling to see where she's going wrong.
No.
You said what you said. Wig or disability. That's what you said.
That's fine. First of all, let me tell you.
That's a funny guy, not someone looking for love.
Okay, let's hear from Danny. Go ahead, Danny.
I do think, first of all, let me pause there because I didn't get a chance to comment on that sassy stuff, and y'all women just throw that word out and y'all attacking a man's gender preference. I don't think y'all understand that. It's really some bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
That has nothing to do with your gender preference.
Yes, it does. That's exactly what it means. It means you're acting feminine.
That's not what it means. Okay, you're acting feminine and you're being sassy does not mean that your preference of a man or a woman. I'm not talking about your sexual orientation and what you prefer. I'm saying you're sass. Going back and forth from there, that's sassy. You're going back and forth. That's sassy.
I mean, technically, they're both right because when she's saying about sassy, she's meaning that you're acting feminine, but also the sassiness also has a root of quote unquote a man that is very feminine, but also being, you know what I mean. And usually people associate that with a man who actually is undercover and is on the DL. Okay, and that's why he's behaving a little bit sassy. So that can also be attached to it. So they both were kind of right here, trying to understand each other. But again, we're not trying to understand each other. We're both trying to win this battle that's happening between the two of us. And so actually, we're not going to get anywhere, and we're not actually going to get more understanding because in this moment, it's about a win. It's about me proving you wrong. Let me go to my next clip as well, because I think this is also important as well. It's here.
I don't talk about people's appearance. If it's not for me, they're not for me. But I don't go around picking at men's physical appearance because I could take him to the gym. That's not a thing. You could take her to the hair salon. So even when I said that with you, you went back and forth with me. And I consider that very feminine when a man can't be a woman and let her express it. So you got to be a me too. You have to one up me.
Now, this is really important. Okay. So she's making a point, and I think it's a good distinction that she's trying to make, right? She's saying, okay, look, first and foremost, right? In the space, when you're talking about hair, I can, you can take it to the hair salon. To the gym, I can take it to the gym. You can't. You actually can't take them to the gym and you can't take them to the hair salon. Here's why you can't. Because unless you have their approval, you can't do it. Which is why people avoid people. Because you see, if I said to a woman, you know what? You're nice, but if you lost a bit of weight, can't lie to you, you're fine. But if you lost a bit of weight, now we've all been there, but you're not going to say it to the person and you're not going to date the person either. Right? You're not going to date you know what I'm saying to you? We've all thought it, like if it's a weight, whether it's teeth, whether it's money, whether it's a haircut, whether it's his fashion, whether it's his job. We've all had those thoughts where we're like, you know what? If they were like this, could have been. Right? But you're not going to enter that situation with like, well, I can change that. So she doesn't realize even on her end, she's still wrong. And I don't even like saying wrong, but she's still, the line she's going on, she has to be very careful what line she's going on because we're going to go into control very quickly, right? Before we know it. And what happens when that person says, I don't want to go down that lane? What happens if the person says, I don't want to go to the gym? Like me for me. What if that person says, I don't want to get those kind of haircuts that you want? What do you do then? Right? Okay, so now she makes a second point, and I want to play the clip again so we can get it clearly.
That's not a thing. You could take her to the hair salon. So even when I said that with you, you went back and forth with me, and I consider that very feminine when a man can't be a woman and let her express it. So you got to be a me too. You have to one up me. That's what you did. I consider that very feminine. When a man gives me that level of femininity, me as a woman, I feel like my femininity is attacked because you're not being masculine. You're being feminine.
Okay, Chichi,
Okay, so she says her feminine is being attacked because he's being masculine, which I totally understand. But you just said obviously that he's being sassy. He's coming out of his masculinity, right? So if you're asking him that he should be more masculine, right? If he feels that you are being rude, should he now go into the feminine? It shouldn't change who he is, and it shouldn't change the energy he's going to bring to the table. So the very thing you're asking him to do, you're going to have to do too. Because right now, someone could say you're being masculine. We don't want to say that, right? And you're saying, and she's saying that, because she's been, that she feels like, that her femininity has been attacked because of the way he's talking. I'm like, well, sis, you still be feminine. But I get what you're saying, right? So no one's free. No one's free, right? You still have to act the way that you're supposed to act. And that's the part that she's missing. And so I'm looking at it from a perspective of, if I'm a man looking at her, I'm like, she's willing to evade accountability because she's willing to say to me that because she can behave anyhow she behaves, it's feminine. But the moment I respond or I say something, I'm sassy. Fair. She's probably right. If I respond in a bad way, you know what? Call me sassy. But just remember that you are not in the feminine either. Then we're both in the wrong. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Then we're both in the wrong. And neither's winning. And what that is that neither of us feels safe in this dialogue. Neither of us feel safe in this dialogue because neither party is trying to understand. And because neither party is trying to understand, we are going to get to a place where we're going to be attacking each other. And guess what? When you attack each other, let's say, quote unquote, using her analogy, which I don't even disagree with, I think it's actually kind of correct. We are both going to go in the wrong energy. She's going to go in the more in the masculine. He's going to go more in the feminine. So who should quit first? Who should quit first? Should you rescind or should I rescind? It doesn't matter who rescinds first. Someone's got to go. Right? Someone's got to go. You see what I'm saying to you?
Let's let Danny finish his whole sentence.
So
let him finish. Yeah.
You gotta look at it. First of all, even on that, you gotta look at the situation that we're in. Everything that you think about me is an assumption. We have no clue of who that person is on the opposite of you. Right? I don't know anything about you. You don't know anything about me. So if you say something, we don't have the opportunity. I'm looking for a match. So I have to either agree with what you're saying or change your mind instantly. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have the opportunity to talk and I can just listen and you had already popped. You know,
we have a limited amount of time to like just present ourselves or get to know somebody and to really find a match. Like I didn't fly from LA to Phoenix to hear somebody try and be funny or comical. I flew to Phoenix to actually see 5 men who literally wanted to find love and wanted to actually be serious. If that's your introduction and your answer to something that's a deal breaker, and I understand his story, is a bad wig, it's like, and then his rebuttal was, oh, she must have a bad wig. It's like, okay, you're not here for love. So to me, I'm not even about to do that.
Well, let me tell you something. So y'all had a couple that matched, right? This dude went, I think it was an episode or something or two right before mine. I'm
gonna pause it again. So she's making a point now about whether this conversation, about his behavior and saying, hey, look, can I be real with you? I think the way that you're going about it, like you being a funny dude, it's not helping us actually be able to get to know you as well. We need to get to know you, right? In terms of them actually choosing him. He's being too funny with certain things that probably don't need to be funny. I don't think she's wrong. I don't think she's wrong. Right? I don't think she's actually wrong. Again, this is about delivery. And I don't think she's actually wrong in this particular aspect, right? So this is actually a really good point, saying that, listen, the way you came across, right, it was difficult for me to really be able to take you seriously because you were always joking around. It's a simple point. But when it's told in a way that is to almost humble somebody or to, to show that you're the authority in that situation, it always comes off wrong. The same way that when he's making a comment about bad wigs, we're going to expose him because he's going to get exposed in a second too. It's from a wrong place. It's wrong. It's from a wrong. It feels like it's from a wrong intention. It's not about the understanding. So if you're trying to educate him to let him know that, listen, us as ladies, when you're doing what you're doing and you making them jokes about the hair, it don't make us feel good, right? That's why we pop the balloon. That would be you trying to educate him and let him know, listen, the way that you're doing things isn't working for you. So maybe there's a way that we need to change it. That's understandable. But the tone, the delivery, it's given, I want to war with you. And it's like, well, if you're on a war with him, he's not really not going to listen to you. He's not going to hear you. You know what I'm saying to you? He ain't going to hear you at all. So let's just go put a little bit more.
Himself. He pretty much begged for it. He said, I got a house with a pool. And he was like, because it was between him and somebody else.
That was Eric, yeah.
It was between two. It was between him and another person. So when y'all did the follow-up on it, she said he never made me laugh. That was her follow-up. So you can't be come out there. It's just not a business situation. Women want men to be comical. They want to make you laugh. They want to, like, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't say that to make anybody laugh. Yeah, I laughed at myself, but I was dead ass serious. If a woman's wig is crazy, I'm not even going to approach. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not there for a general purpose. I'm not there to make everybody happy. I'm there for one woman in the whole world, just one. You know?
Now let's pause it right there. He makes a very good point. He says again, hey, if I'm coming there, someone's got a bad wig, I'm not approaching. Fine. But then you can't say it in the way you said it. This is you see, this is why I said both of them are problematic. They believe that both of them are victims in the situation, and both of you are perpetuators of your own downfall. Both of you. Like, we are 16 minutes in, and he has not been able to say, right, in that space of time, he's not been able to tell us, you know what, can I be real with you? Like, I hear what you're saying. You know what? The way I said it, it came across bad. He still can't say it because the reality of the situation is, when he said it, it was a dig. The reality of the situation is, somebody who can't see that, the reason why they can't see it is because it was a dig. You were doing it in a very shady, very sly, very underhanded way, using a joke as a way of getting at somebody. And so for me personally, I'm like, well, if that's not you, when you're hearing her say not to say disability, or we should say, look, the way it's delivered, that's not what it's meant to come across as. You know, I still believe in bad wigs, but maybe the joke that I made at the end wasn't right. Because again, once more, the comment was made about disability. You know what I'm saying to you? But again, because also when Chi-Chi also said about him being sassy for commenting on women's looks, the conversation gets derailed because now the conversation is about, if I talk about women's looks at all, I'm now sassy. So now the rebuttal is about rebutting the idea of not being able to go out a woman's looks, rather than actually saying, no, the way you spoke about it, what you said in that, the way you delivered it was incorrect. That's where the conversation should have been. Right? But it wasn't. We got derailed. Okay. We're gonna move. I think he's at this point. I want to see where he says to the point. Okay, let me see what it's.
You understand what I'm saying? And if a woman has a wig on and something that's not aesthetically pleasing to me, I'm not even gonna see if how she at this point in time. It's just gonna be like, all right, unless we come into some kind of situation where like we get to know each other outside of that, or just like grows again it's meant to be, then yeah. But if we're talking about just straight approach, there's been people on there that pop because the woman wore a hat that look crazy. There's all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, she had the one dread hanging. I watched this show like before I went on there. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if I had seen a woman whose wig was looking like that, I would have been, if I had opportunity, I'd have been like, yeah, no. You know what I'm saying? But you know, on the episode when I first was on, that's one thing that I looked at. Like the girl who came out from Texas, the second one, her stuff was lace. She looked good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I look at that. When I look at somebody and picture on Instagram, the first thing I see is like their hair and all kinds of stuff. It just shows like a level of like, it shows like how much attention to detail that they pay. That they, you know, they pay attention like that.
Now you see how he's explained it here. Isn't that a better way of how he's deceived, how he's broken it down? Him saying that, listen, I pay attention to detail, right? So in that space, me seeing a bad wig for me is really important because I'm an attention to detail kind of guy when it comes to the woman that I'm with. Fine. If that is the explanation, fine. We don't need to add the shadiness. Your explanation actually is very much well put, saying that, look, I pay attention to detail. I've seen a past few shows. I know people don't, but for me personally, this is my preference. You know, I like a woman that's put together because it tells me that more than likely she's put together in her hair, she's gonna be put together in her nails, she's gonna be put together in her life. That's how I see things. Fine. The extra joke of the disability is the issue. But now I'm also seeing that with Chica's no longer arguing just a disability. Chica's in general now arguing in general. Any man that talks about a woman's looks is now sassy. Now the conversation has escalated to a macro rather than a micro. You know what I'm saying to you?
They house, if they wig is, if their hair is lacing out there, their house is probably clean. Their body is clean. Their nails is done, like it's all cohesive. I look at that. I when I was broke, women ain't want to talk to me when I ain't had no haircut. My shoes were dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't even get the opportunity. What's the difference? I look crazy without a haircut. If I had came on there without a haircut, y'all probably would have popped as soon as I walked out.
And
like,
to add,
and he's probably right. Again, he's absolutely right. But the reality of the situation is, how do you say it? That's the key point. How do you say it? There is nothing wrong with what you said about bad wigs. You feel like bad wigs are not it. That's okay. But how do you deliver that? How would you want to deliver that? And that's what you want. That's what we're paying attention to. So nothing wrong with it. Again, he's missing the point about his delivery and his content of delivery. Okay.
I didn't even get an opportunity. Like, you don't even know who I was. Y'all just like y'all.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead, ask.
Because you're so focused on the fact that I popped my balloon so quickly, but remember, I was at the end of the line. So by the time you got down to me, you had went back and forth with like every single girl. like back and forth. Like you couldn't take what somebody said. Like that's the one thing that I do not like and did not like about you. You went back and forth with everybody. As friends, me and Danny could probably be friends. Today, I will probably want to drop kick you.
Chichi, do you class that as going back and forward, how he was interacting with the girls?
Every single one of them.
I feel like some of them, he was just joking around. They were just having like friendly banter and stuff like that.
Well, apparently it's Southern banter, which I was
Now, this is really important because the comment she's about to make is where she's going to nail herself to the cross with the comment she's about to make. And this is really important. Again, going back to what I said about the very beginning of this whole video is about poor communication and not communicating to understand, but to win. Listen to what she's saying, because what's actually happening is she's triggered. And so her responses are not in alignment with what she actually wants to say. She's actually got some good points, but she's getting triggered. Let's listen.
To believe.
West Coast banter.
Right. So
no, I'm Jamaican and Nigerian. I don't have East Coast or West Coast banter. I have.
You sound crazy.
My family is very crazy, and we don't sugarcoat things. Okay, so
but
it's
I'm
like
supposed
to
to
me.
stuff. But I'm supposed to do the same thing.
Danny, I'm a woman. Stop comparing yourself to me.
Pause right there. Nailed herself to the cross. So what she's saying is, oh, I can be direct, but you can't because you're a man. Sis. What you're trying to say is coming out wrong. Because what you really want to be saying is, listen, first and foremost, nobody, I believe that nobody should be communicating with anybody in this particular way. You know what I mean? Like if I say something shady, it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, it is never a good form of communication to be trying to shade you. You understand what I'm saying to you? If I'm trying to get to know you, like you, me shading you isn't the way to go, right? Being direct doesn't mean being rude. Being assertive does not mean being aggressive. There is a way to communicate where I can respect your feelings. What she's saying is, and she's nailing herself, because if you're saying that his communication is wrong, but you're saying that, Danny, I'm a woman, you're a man, you can't do what I do. What you're actually saying is this. So you're saying that you can be rude and you can be shady because you're a woman, but because he's a man, he can't do that. That's where you're nailing yourself to the cross and you're not realizing that your point is now working against you. But because you want to finish him rather than bring understanding, you are now nailing both of you. So both of you are now being nailed to the cross because evidently his behavior is wrong. And what he said it was wrong. But now you saying, well, I'm Jamaican and Nigerian, we very direct. But then because in that space, you want to also say, well, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a woman, you're a man, you can't compare yourself to me. At that point, sis, now you're trying to say that his behavior is only acceptable if a woman does it. That's where you're wrong. And that's why both of you get nailed to the cross simply because you want to win.
No, sweetheart.
Like, sweetheart. I'm not about to keep doing this. Like, as a man and a woman, we're not going to keep saying me too. Like, I hate Mr. Me Too.
No, it's not a me too. If you're
It is a me too. You just said, I was doing the same thing. Like, let me have it as a woman. Like, you can't let me have it.
No, why do you need to have it? You don't need to have it. You just can't let me have it. No, you can't have bad behavior. That's the whole point. You're saying his behavior is bad, right? You're saying his behavior is off. His behavior is not good. Sorry. You're saying his behavior is not good. So why would we want to let you have it? If you're saying his behavior is not right, it's not right to do what he's doing. Why would we want you to do it? We wouldn't. We won't. I don't want him to do it. I don't want you to do it because it doesn't make an actual relationship work. Neither of you are doing the right thing. Neither. That's the whole point. None of you. And this is why, again, both men and women in 2024 are single because you're trying to be the winner and really want understanding.
Y'all pop my balloon. I ain't let you have shit. If we was in a relationship or something, I might let you have it.
That's what I'm saying. That's another thing. Like another thing I don't like is how you treat any woman is also important. Like I want a man that respects all women, not just me.
So I was disrespectful?
In some things I feel like you were. Like the thing is it might be funny to you, but it's not funny to somebody else.
And this is a great point. It's a great point. It might be funny to you, but it might not be funny to someone else. That is the point I need her to stay on. Stay on that point. Don't move. Don't go anywhere else. Stay on that point and eloquently express that to him. And if he doesn't get it, then we leave it alone. Because this really is a 5-minute conversation. Look, your point is that simply put, the way he expressed himself, the joke that he made, it felt offensive. And so you were considering that other women may have been offended by his comment, which is fair because women are very sensitive about their looks. Okay? That's fine. That is actually a real point. And in that space, when you let him say that, right, if he's not going to get it, then we back away and leave him because he's unwilling to get it. But the extra stuff, he's sassy, he's feminine, he's this, he's that, or let me have it, all that kind of stuff, it's not going to help the conversation. It's not bringing understanding. And again, it's derailing you from where you need to be.
Okay, the things I said, people might not think it's funny. Whatever it is, it might rub some people the wrong way. To each his own. However, it may go.
Was I disrespectful on? What was I disrespectful on?
So, and see what she said. Said, well, I may have said some things that may rub people the wrong way. And she was about to go and say, like, you guys, you know what? It is what it is. And it's like, but babe, then what should he do? He should be apologizing. And when you do it also too, when you do it and offend somebody, you should be apologizing. Okay? You should be apologizing too. Right? Because you're asking him to do something and you can't even do it. You can't even do it either. The very thing you want him to do, you're saying that if you were to do it, if you were to say something offensive, you're not even trying to say sorry yourself. So what do you want him to say sorry? What do you want him to not be offending people? You want to offend people because you're a woman. That's crazy work. You know what I mean? Like,
so you
stand out of your mind. Give me one.
See, this is the same thing you did when we were talking back and forth on the show. Like, you asked me, what was the woman's mama's name? When you said her mama had a bad wig too. It ran in the family. And then when I brought it up at the end of our conversation, you said, what was her mama's name? It doesn't matter. It don't matter. I'm not about to sit here and pinpoint every conversation you have with every person. This is what you did, and it did exist. Just because I'm not sitting here pulling up Pop the Balloon recaps of everything that you said because I don't have time or give a fuck enough, but I'm stating my opinion. Okay?
Now, at this point, I hear what you're saying, sis, but you asked him, okay? You said to him that he is being disrespectful. He asked you for examples. You couldn't give him any. Sis, you cannot say and accuse someone and say, okay, that you know what, you disrespectful, but then don't give the example. And actually, she kind of gave the example within the example. By her not saying the example, she actually kind of gave the example already. She actually was saying the example by him saying what he was saying. So, but you're saying that you don't have the time to put it, but you're here for 45 minutes. This episode of conversation is 45 minutes. Okay, 45 minutes you're on this conversation. So you evidently have the time. So what you're really saying is, and that's why he harps on it. And you know, I agree with him on this point, which is, then you don't have a point. You just feel some type of way, and you have not worked through what it is you really feel about him. The truth of the matter is, you just don't like him. You don't like his energy. But what you should do is actually work through it. What is it about what he does and says that irritates you? Right? Because right now we're throwing accusations and we can't back it up. So sit with it, process it. Don't let your emotions run before you. Work through the emotions and then begin to describe, hey, when you do X, Y, and Z, I can't lie to you. It frustrates me. That's it. You are disrespectful because you do X, Y, and Z. Someone just saying you're disrespectful and that's leaving at that isn't helping anybody.
I feel like you went back and forth too much. I don't even have a wig. Okay. That's the crazy part. Like, we're talking about wigs and I have lots.
So that's where the disrespect is. She feels like you went back and forth with other women too much. Okay, that's fair.
Okay,
right. So it's gonna.
So
that's what blew a lot of people in the comments.
Right, like,
people, because I don't like when men talk about beauty. Like, men, you're not getting your nails done. You're not getting your hair done. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Move on. Talk about other things. Like, I feel like if you come in here for love, I'm gonna stand on what I said. If you're coming here for love, saying a deal breaker is a wig is like, what the fuck?
Okay, so now her whole fight, which I understand. Now her whole fight is about the fact that because he said about a woman's looks, he shouldn't talk about a woman's looks. My only problem with this is the context of the show. Arlette actually asks them, what is it that is not making you connect to this person? So they do actually ask them, both men and women do this. I don't like it, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really like it. I don't like it at all. But the context of the show is the women say stuff, the men say stuff. The women try to be nice about it, but we know it's about how short he is. We know how it's because he's not looking that way. Okay, we know that it's because they said it's the shoes for me. Okay, well, you know what I mean? Like, we hear the women say this stuff, and it's not because they're bad again, but again, it's the way you deliver it, right? Some women have delivered it very eloquently. Some women have delivered it very poorly. This brother here, he has delivered it poorly because he added an adjective. Okay, so she's actually right. You can feel that way. That's fine. Not a problem at all. You don't like when men do it, and I understand that.
So Chichi, like, I have a question.
I didn't fly to some of the comments. You say you don't like bad wigs. Like,
hold on, Chichi, I got a comment. So in the comments on Instagram, and I think also on YouTube, they were like, "Oh, how did Chichi get upset that he's commenting about wigs, but she personally attacked his weight,
everything, right?"
I didn't pop because of his stomach. I popped because of what he said, not because of how he looked. He came out there and said, women with bad wigs is a mental disability at this point. Oh, she got a bad wig. That's what he said. And that's what I responded to.
No, I didn't.
Now pause on that. Sis, if that's the point, hold firm to that point. Okay? That's what it is. That is what it is, sis. That's okay. What you just said is correct, sis. Him saying that is problematic. I get it. I understand from your perspective where you're coming to. You're saying that comment that he made is problematic. That's fine. Don't let the conversation split into other areas, which it's not about. It's about that comment and what you feel about it. You feel like his comment wasn't caring and wasn't considerate of other women. That's what you feel like. That's fair. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I said everybody.
You want me to play the clip?
No, I said I didn't see you. So if I said this in the comments, if I had to say I don't like women with dirty feet and you pop, what else was I supposed to think? I didn't look to see who popped and say, oh, she got a bad. I didn't even look that way. I'm talking to Arlette.
Exactly. So I don't have a bad wig. So anyway.
All right, then. So the joke on you.
There is no joke on me. I said what I said. I don't like when men talk about women's beauties.
The beauty is for the man. The beauty is for the man.
No, the beauty is for us. The beauty is for us to feel good and love ourselves, and beauty is for us to explore. Okay, it doesn't make you beautiful, but it makes you feel beautiful.
So I'm asking you a question.
Beauty is for us to feel good. It's not for you, and it's not about you. But we love when y'all like it. But
so women, so women don't
worry about wigs. Don't wear one.
No, that's dumb. But
so that if, like I said earlier on, now the conversations. So if it's not about the wigs, why are you having so much energy towards him? If you don't wear wigs, what is it? So then, sis, be real about it. What is it you feeling? There's something else that you feel about the fact that he makes these comments about women's wigs. What is it specifically, sis? Tell us what the deepness of what you're feeling, because right now the energy that's being replied is a lot. And I'm not saying you're even bad for it, but I'm saying it's a lot. So what is it that you really, what is it really behind it? Okay. All right. What is it? What's behind it? You know what I'm saying to you? What's really behind it? Tell us what's behind it. Then we can understand where you're coming from. Okay. All right. So I see both of them, right? Where, you know, she's saying that women don't do the beauty thing for men. He's saying that they do for beautiful men. Okay. But let's come to that understanding. Okay. Let's come to that understanding.
So women don't like it when men get.
You saying that your deal breaker is a bad wig and it's a mental disorder.
So women don't like it when men get haircuts. They don't be like, "Ooh, that's a nice haircut." That's not.
But if somebody asks me as a woman what my deal breaker is in finding love, I'm not going to say, "Oh, a man with a bad haircut," you know, because he needs to know when his hairline is going back. But that's what you guys are missing. Different strokes for different folks. I don't need to fit into the box of what every woman thinks or what every woman has to be.
Are you saying?
If you don't need to fit into the box of what everyone thinks about, then you can't actually make a comment about his comment, because you're then saying the same. Okay, hold on. So you're saying, she just ended up saying something, which is now pushing us back. She's saying, okay, what she's saying is that for her personally, right? I don't have. Oh, let me play the comment again so that I can get the full gist of what she. So she actually made a good point, and I want to just.
Ooh, that's a nice haircut. That's not.
But if somebody asks me as a woman what my deal breaker is in finding love, I'm not going to say, "Oh, a man with a bad haircut," you know, because he needs to know when his hairline is going back. But that's what you guys.
Now, of course, the hairline being a deal breaker may not be for you, but like I said earlier on, someone likes teeth, somebody likes physique, somebody likes height. There are deal breakers for different people. Now, is it being too picky? Something could say that, yes, right? But we have to be honest, there are deal breakers for people. Somebody wants a 6-foot person. Somebody wants somebody with good teeth. Somebody wants somebody with good hygiene. Somebody wants whatever it is, that's your particular thing, right? But when she says that different strokes for different folks, you have to take your own advice.
You guys are missing different strokes for different folks. I don't need to fit into the box of what every woman thinks or what every woman has to be.
Are you saying?
If that's the case, then let it go, sis. Because like you said, it's different strokes for different folks. That must apply across the board. It is different strokes for different folks. At that point, let it fly, sis. Because like you said, it is different for different people. But again, because both of them are really not trying to understand. Like, we still got to a place where we're still not trying to understand each other. We're not there yet.
In that, guys, are you saying that guys can't comment on?
I'm not lonely though, so you be alright.
I didn't say you're lonely.
Okay then, mind your business.
Chicha,
Well, he didn't say she was going to be lonely, so I don't know what she was responding to, and that's what I'm saying. Now she's triggered. Now she's in that antagonistic space where she wants to attack because she feels some type of way, which is understandable. Right? When we get in these conversations, we do these things, but one has to be aware now. Sometimes when we're now leading into a space, we're now leading to a space where we're coming to a place where it's now getting to a point where you're now attacking rather than trying to get your point across. So you just got to be very careful, because when you get to that place, you become very antagonistic.
Are you saying that, yeah, guys should not comment on girls' beauty, but girls can comment on guys' looks,
I feel like
haircut
in a distasteful manner, you should not. No, you shouldn't. Because let me be personally very frank with you.
This is a real point, okay? So the question was, should you then be able to comment on men's looks and men comment on women's looks? She says, not in a distasteful way. So the argument is whether it was distasteful. That's where the argument is. And this is what happens when we lose sight of the argument. The real conversation is that he was distasteful in his commentary about looks. You don't have a problem with him talking about women's looks, but you do, because you already said earlier on that it's sassy when a man does that. And that's why we're having an extra extended conversation when really and truly you're just giving us a different question, you're giving us a different answer.
You shouldn't.
If she couldn't, if she can't afford it, and like that's like if you talk about a person that's down and out, then yeah. But I wasn't even talking about a person. I just said in general. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not even, like I said, I'm not there to date.
But why? Women. Like, why is that such a thing that it's like? So you have to like, why?
Listen,
I'm gonna tell you. You keep repeating yourself.
No, sweetheart, I have to repeat myself because you don't let me get from 1, 2, and 3.
Sir, because you're repeating yourself, and you think because you're asking me to listen to you repeat the same thing to prove your point. You said what you said about women's aesthetics, and I said what I said about your aesthetics because you are so aesthetically focused. And I said that because I feel like it's shallow. Even women running around here talking about man's hair or a man that's too short, you probably missing out on your short king. That's all I'm saying. You focus on the wrong.
Okay, so now, sis, you're coming to a great place. So now you're saying that, okay, a woman also talking about a man being short is being very shallow. Then say that in general. See, what you didn't do at the very beginning of the conversation, this is where you got to build bridges. At the beginning of the conversation, we didn't say that it's shallow for everyone to talk about looks. We said it's shallow for him. Sorry, specifically for men. We made it a man versus woman situation. But you're saying as a general principle, actually, anybody talking about looks is shallow. Why didn't you? We've gone through 30 minutes. We didn't get into that point now. This is what happens when we're trying to have multiple conversations at many times. This is really important. Okay, this is what happens when we have many conversations at one time. And it's okay for her to have an opinion. I don't think her opinion necessarily is wrong. I think that she just needs to just nail it so that it goes in a streamlined version, because she had a good point, but then she deflects away with some of the insults and some of the conversation.
Shit, Danny, that's all I'm saying. So that's it. There's nothing deeper than that. Y'all making it too deep. You focus on the wrong thing. That was my reason. I'm like, is he serious? No, that would make you serious.
Okay, that's fine.
Like, that's it. Like, y'all making it deeper than what it is. I said what I said because of what you said. It's aesthetics. We talking about aesthetics. Let's talk.
Well, if it's not that deep, why are you pressed? If it's not that deep, why are you pressed? Because it is deep. And it's deep for both people. It's why when people say it's not deep and then act like it's not deep, but they acting like this, you pressed because it's deep. You don't have to say it's not deep. It is deep. It is very, very deep. You said in retaliation to what he said, you felt like him saying about looks was shallow. Well, then you don't beat him by saying about his own looks as being very shallow, right? In essence, what you should have said was, how would it feel if we spoke about your looks? But you didn't. What you did is you then insulted him by saying, well, you need to go to the gym or you have a big belly, whatever, right? So you then insulted him equally with the amount that he assaulted a woman. So you couldn't teach him anything in that moment because you decided that you weren't better than what he was doing. But you're trying to say you're better, yet you didn't do better. And that's where you're going to have an issue. This is the same thing I say for men all the time too. I said the same thing. I said, if you see a post on Instagram that I quoted, there was a video of a Nigerian man slapping his wife. And I said, what kind of leadership is this? If you're a man and the woman talks, quote unquote, out of turn, you slap her. What are you teaching her? Are you teaching her how to speak to you appropriately, or are you teaching her fear? And the man them are like, yeah, but you got to talk about how she was abusive first. I said, it doesn't matter whether she was abusive first or not. You are saying that you want her to behave appropriately. You cannot tell her to behave appropriately by doing the same behavior she's doing. That doesn't make no sense. I cannot teach you to do better whilst doing the same thing you're doing. That doesn't make no sense. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying to you?
My goodness gracious.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, because you're pissing me off.
Okay, Titi, what's your type?
My type is a masculine, strong, leading man that leads, that allows me to thrive in my femininity. Like, it's just like when you have to go back and forth with a grown man, to some point your masculinity starts coming out because you feel defensive.
Now, sis, your masculinity came out because masculinity is there. I can't lie to you. Your masculinity, if you want to call it masculinity, I don't, you just call it masculinity because you've labeled it masculinity. Your masculinity is there because your masculinity is there. You know what I mean? So in that space, that's got nothing to do with him. That's all to do with you. The pressure made you behave in a way, but that's you. So what you're showing again is you. It's not what he made you do. Because what you're then saying is, you're making me do this, but this is not a situation where you're being controlled. This is not a situation where you're being forced. You're doing that because that is you. Right? We have to take accountability for that behavior. And if he makes jokes on the show, and he's going to actually say it. In fact, actually, he's going to say it, and I want to even get it. Let's play this. I'm going to let it play. And
so I don't like when men make me feel defensive to the point where my femininity is threatened, and I can't just be feminine and calm and happy. Like, he likes a woman that, he even said it on the show, that is a little mean to him. I don't like that, because that right there puts me in a space that I don't like to be in. A space.
Now pause again. She's still not taking accountability. She said that obviously, you know, I don't like a man that makes me feel more masculine. Well, what did he do? He was having a conversation with you back and forth. He didn't agree with you. Whilst I do believe that he wasn't listening to you, and you weren't really listening to him, because none of you actually came with an understanding. How did you get to a place where you're now in your masculine and you're now cussing and insulting him? This wasn't even a fight. If I'm honest with you, this wasn't really a fight. I can't lie to you, because he never spoke directly about you. He spoke about in generality. You spoke in specificity and talked about his weight rather than talking about men's weight. You spoke about his weight. You made it very specific about him because you personalized his comment, which wasn't even about you. So you took on a burden and a cross that wasn't yours. Now, fair enough, you might want to be a crusader, but that isn't on him. That's on you. You got to be accountable for you doing that, right? If you want to feel safe, first and foremost, promote safety. You know what I'm saying to you?
Space as a Black woman that I don't thrive in, having to survive or feel like I have to be combative or have to defend myself. I don't like that from a man, especially a Black man. I don't like it. So for me, it's a man that makes me feel safe, not just somebody who can protect me and fight, somebody who protects my feelings, my emotions, like all of those things. So it's like when you can't even just express yourself and a man take it in and receive it and comfort you, or just make you feel like, you know what, I understand where you come from, at least understanding. That's my attraction, a man's mind over how he looks.
And in order to do that, I'm gonna tell you this now. If I'm understanding, why do I want to be in a place where you're going to be talking the way you're talking? I don't want that either. When I outgrow that, I don't want that either. When I outgrow that, when I'm healed, I don't want your energy either. I don't want to have to keep on trying to create a space where you have to keep banging the walls. I personally don't want to have to do that either. Right? So it takes two to tango when we're doing this thing about safety. But first and foremost, one must feel safe within themselves. But again, he stopped talking. So at this point, this frustration that you're feeling right now, I can understand that the subject may be frustrating and it can be sensitive. Okay. Someone said, when did I grow that? Listen, some of us have been doing some healing work. But yeah, I can understand that there may be a source of frustration. But what you must not do is project onto someone else, because now let me say it. I've gone to some red pill spaces, right? I've gone to some spaces where people are rude, disrespectful, demand them, but I'm not allowing it to change me. You know what I'm saying to you? Now I might get a little bit smart. I might have a quick, sarcasm, But I don't need to start shouting, screaming, hollering. I don't need to start getting aggy and then be like, it's because of y'all. No, it's on me. It's on me. I need to take accountability. It's on me. I am doing that because that's how I feel. And I can't blame you for how I feel. What I'm saying to you, I have to be accountable for how I feel. And that's a level of control and regulation we need.
Danny, what's your type?
Well, since this was being overlooked, like I said, I like a woman's mindset who's allergic to giving.
You're divorced. I see why you're single. You see what I'm saying with the...
That's it. Like, we got to listen.
It's so funny you say you listen and you know, all these things, but when I was expressing how I felt, one of your responses was, I see why you're single. How would you like it if I said, I see why you're divorced? I see why you're single. You see what I'm saying with the back and forth and like, it's like you...
See, that comment she made is absolutely right. He should not be saying those kind of comments. And once again, he should be apologizing. Okay? He should be apologizing. Because in this space, right, if you have said to her, I can see why you're single, then you're gonna have to be accountable when if she ends up saying, well, I can see why you're divorced. Because I can see why both of them, I can see why you're single, I can see why you're divorced. I can see why he divorced too. Because this doesn't make no sense to me. Making comments that you're making like that, I can see why. We're 45 minutes into a conversation and you talk about wigs in the way that you've spoken about it and not realize that it's impacting somebody else. Yes, I can see why you might be divorced. Because you have a habit of saying things and not apologizing. You know what I'm saying to you? So again, both parties here.
You have to win. Like that right there is something that is absolutely like such a turnoff to me as a woman. And that's the same exact thing that you're doing now, the same exact thing you did on the show. You have to one up and you have to win. That right there was the reason I didn't like you. And that right there is the reason why I wasn't attracted to you. And then on top of that, it's just like, look at what you just said. Do you hear what you just said? Do you hear how powerful the woman that you want and how you want to feel sounds? But you went on the show and you were being a funny guy. Even though you have a personality, there's such a way to turn it off and on that is still being conveyed and communicated through being serious or standing on business about what you want. Nobody knows what you wanted. All we're going to remember is the funny guy. Like, it's like, are you being a comedian or are you here to find love? Like, you have to find a balance. Life is about balance at the end of the day. You can squint your face up all you want to what I'm saying. And it also goes to what I'm saying, like, you missed a one up. Go ahead.
Let me go be all the way when I just said what I said. That's.
I mean, she has a point as well. Facial expressions can be passive aggressive, so she actually has another point again. It's actually some really good points he can pick up. Passive aggressiveness it can be in your facial expression. So him doing the eye rolls, all that stuff, can also be a part of an aspect of you not actually listening to the other person too. So it's actually another form of communication as well. I think this is really important. That's a point that she's made again. A really good point that she's made again. Again, it's going to get lost because we're having an argument instead of actually discussion, but it's a really good point as well. Yeah.
That's why you're saying that was just me giving up. 2, I'm gonna be all the way 100 with y'all. When the first girl popped my balloon, when I said I didn't want to skydive and stuff like that, I was done. We could have stopped the show right then and there. Like, that's when I first came out. I seen her. I said, oh, that's who I want. She was the first one to pop before I even got to the bag wig stuff. So it's like, I didn't care what I said then. You understand what I'm saying? So this is just being all the way 100 with you. So it's.
And now you're the fool. Now you're the fool. Now you're the fool. Now we see why. Now you're the fool. Now you boo-boo the fool. That's exactly what this is. When people let people speak, they will hang themselves. This is foolish. So when the first woman popped, this is why you weren't authentic. You didn't want any of the women there. So you went into, I won't even say funny mode, because like again, you were shading. So you decided to go into that space because you felt like the one that you wanted was no longer on display. Now you're boo-boo the fool. Now you boo-boo the fool. Now you boo-boo the fool. Because now you've explained yourself as to why you behave the way you have. So you've now given her credence to what she said. You don't treat women in a nice way when you don't like them anymore. So you may have said it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke. Like I said earlier on, some jokes are not jokes. And this is why you saying this, you've made yourself boo-boo the fool. You've made yourself boo-boo the fool. No one else did it, bro. No one, listen, we can talk about her argumentative behavior. She is argumentative, and I feel like she's very easily triggered, and that becomes a problem in a relationship. But now you are boo the fool, because now you're telling us the reason why you did what you did is because all the woman that you actually wanted popped in the very beginning. I'm going to be real honest. So we've waited for 35 minutes, 40 minutes before we get the real honesty. The real honesty is because the one that you actually wanted popped. You decided that you didn't really care. You're going to talk anyhow and anyway.
It's like, okay, yeah, I can be a comedian or whatever, but part of my personality is humor. You know, a wise man can fake being.
So basically, the only reason why you are more humorous is because the girl that you actually wanted wasn't there. So you wouldn't have been so humorous if the girl that you wanted was there. So you became more funny because the girl wasn't there. The one that you wanted wasn't there, which means you're not being authentic. If you were being authentic, if the girl that you actually wanted, you'd have been more serious, more straight. You'd have been saying your points. But because the one that you wanted to impress was no longer there, we got this version.
Being dumb, but a dumb man can't fake being wise. Sarcasm is a form of intelligence. If you don't get that, I mean, that's just on you. You know what I'm saying? When you go back and watch the first show, I'm asking, like, what progressed you in a relationship that's going to make this?
Sarcasm can also be an act of actually being emotionally abusive. I'm not saying that he actually is, by the way, being very, very clear. Sarcasm is not only funny, it can also be an act of emotional abuse. If you don't know that, it can be used in that space. It can be, thank you, someone said it in the chat, weaponized humor. So he has to be very, very clear that they can have a double-edged sword. So it's not just on you, it's the way it's delivered. And deliver it to what audience as well. So the person's now telling you what you said in that moment, that space, has actually potentially could hurt some women. So all you have to do is say, look, do you know what? I thought I was being funny, but I see it's hurt you. I apologize. It's not my intention. I can see my impact. That's it. That's it.
Work. We never got to this point. You understand what I'm saying? So that when she said, is she your type? After you popped the balloon, you not my type. But they just kept coming down. So it's like, okay, this how I act when there's nothing there. If we just friends or I don't even know you and stuff like that, I'm just not gonna let you just come and say whatever you want to say. I don't care.
But you don't see a problem with that,
sweetheart. At that point, that point.
But you just said, but listen to what you're saying. Like, you couldn't even respect the women's time in the line.
Sweetheart.
You said when the sky was like, I know, sweetheart, stop sweethearting me. Thank you. You just said when the first woman who was your type, the one you want to pop the balloon, you could stop the show right there. I didn't care. And then you took it as to go back and forth and just whatever. You didn't care. I didn't. You pop my balloon. I don't like you. Even if somebody didn't think you're their type and you still think they're beautiful, you can't like. None of y'all was my type. When y'all got into my blind ass. When y'all got to my blind ass, none of y'all was my type. But I didn't sit there and feel the need to make you like whatever. I don't care.
You couldn't. I complimented every single woman.
You couldn't what?
I compliment. You can't make me feel like I don't know what you was about to say, but I complimented.
That's what I'm saying. You couldn't. You just have to win. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't. Like, you gotta come back to everything. Sassy ass.
I complimented every single woman. Watch your mouth when you talk to me, Shawty. Like, you getting.
I said sassy. I ain't call you a dyke like you wanted to call me.
See, now both of them are doing the exact same thing. Okay, now both of them do the same thing. You know, she had to call him a sassy ass. He interrupted her. She interrupted him. He didn't let her finish a point. She didn't let him finish a point. He was going to say something, but didn't finish it by saying, obviously, you know, you couldn't make me feel this way. They were both actually in that space of being disrespectful to each other. Neither. And so when I read the comments, everyone was pointing out her behavior. And I was like, I see her behavior. If you don't see his, we got a problem. He is not cute. And I'm not talking about his looks. He is not cute with the way he communicates. You think he is because she's so bad. He is not cute. Okay? He is not cute at all. What you say? I am not trying to defend the woman. I'm telling you that both of these are a problem, which is why I point out both of their issues. When they communicate, it is to denigrate. It's to denigrate each other. It is not to bring about understanding or to bring about both parties to have some level of let's have a conversation. It's about I want to trump you. So there is no winners on this side. There is no winners on his side, nor on hers. But when I read the comments, I said, oh, everybody's on saying that she's such a bad person. It's because they can easily spot the, how do I like to say, passive aggressive behaviors because it's very outwardly. But if you don't realize he has very covert passive aggressive behaviors, if you don't see that in the way that he's handling affairs.
All right.
You compare the sassy to
okay. All right, guys. So.
Hey man, look, I'm be dead ass serious. Like, yo, Chi, like, watch how you talk to me, Shawty. Like,
no, you need to watch how you want me to watch how I talk to you, but you're not talking the way a respectful man talks. But you want me to respect you. It goes both ways. You see what I'm saying? Like, you feel like because you from Atlanta, oh, shorty, like, oh, when y'all could have just did this, y'all could have just that. Oh, you popped my balloon. I ain't gonna da-da-da-da-da. Like, take responsibility for yourself. Stop worrying about me and my responses to you as a person.
How can he not forget? How can he not be worried about your responses? You worried about his responses. You know what I'm saying, G? How can he not respond? How can he not? Okay, how can he not worry about your responses when you do the exact same thing? You see what I'm saying? Both of these people are crazy. I don't say crazy, but they think that each person thinks that they are the winner in the situation. None of them are, right? Like, we're making hypocritical statements. You saying about, don't worry about what I'm saying to you, but you worried about what he said to you because that's why you responded the way you responded, makes no sense. You responded the way you responded just now because you were worried about his response.
So everyone that comes on the show, there's a reason why they're coming on the show, to find love. People come on the show because they are single, right? So that question when they ask why are you single or whatever, it hurts so much, so many people, like it gets to them.
But I know that he's hurting. I can't lie to you. But I know his chest is going up and down. I know he is furious right now. I know he is, and I understand why. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that I don't understand it. I'm not gonna say that I don't get why he might be angry. He's angry. You know what I mean? Being called sassy a couple of times, being spoken to rudely. The way she's speaking to him in terms of the tone, I totally understand. It's disrespectful. I won't even lie to you. You know what I'm saying to you? I get it.
But the reality is you're single, and everybody has issues within themselves that they need to work on, right? Everybody does. And I feel like a lot of people do not want to admit that. So they use a different type of method to back away from it. For instance, right? Me and my wife.
Okay.
Here for.
Okay, with you. I think that we could have got further in the situation. So I think you're a very beautiful woman. Good luck with your podcast. I'm going to support it. You wouldn't be able to stop me from supporting it. To be honest with you, you have a great personality. And
you see how he soothed her? You see how he soothed her? You don't really, this is what I'm saying to you. Okay. All right. Now, both of them have a problem because they don't really listen. Right now, yes, we can say that maybe she's a bit of a bigger villain. I don't mind saying that, right? But I'm saying to you, look at the power that he has in his hands. He doesn't realize. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, the power that he has in his hands right now, yeah, to change this dynamic of the conversation. Okay, he's done it just here at the very end. He's done it. Okay, all right. Now the personality part, yeah, I don't know about the personality part, but it's not even that. It's the way she handles conflict. It's not personality. It's how she handles conflict as an issue, right? But he just soothed her. Look at this.
I think you're a very beautiful woman. Good luck with your podcast. I'm going to support it. You wouldn't be able to stop me from supporting it. To be honest with you, you have a great personality, and I feel, you know what I'm saying, that moving forward in life, that I mean, it's big things for both of us, especially for you, because you got that fire in you. You're a warrior. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, I look at you like a superwoman. You understand? You in the gym, you going crazy, and tell you I got a circuit training. I probably outwork you anyway. But
now let me pause it right here. I want to say something. Okay. The way she's reacting to his words is telling me how much she needed those words. The way she's reacting to his words about her being a warrior, and her smiling and kicking up 32 teeth tells me that in this situation, she missed an opportunity. And he missed an opportunity. They both missed an opportunity here. Because she really needed somebody to see the beauty within, that she's fighting for the beauty outside. This whole fight became about hair and wigs, when really and truly, sis, something within you was burning. Because the way he's speaking to you now with some courage, with some love and affection, and telling you how great you are and how he's going to support your podcast, and saying how much of a warrior you are, you're smiling with 32 teeth. Which tells me that, sis, you wanted to hear some encouraging words. That's what you should have told him. That's what you should have said. I really wanted to hear words that were going to encourage me, going to lift me up. That's what I really wanted. Because the way you're smiling right now is very different. Right? And this is also a thing on him. We could have done this 30 minutes ago. We could have said some of these kind words 30 minutes ago to actually soften the guard to be able to deliver some of the information we want to deliver. Sometimes we have to earn the ability to tell somebody some very difficult things, because relationship is to build bridges with people. You see what I'm saying to you? Yeah.
You know, that's
here you go.
No, yeah, but we get to understand each other's personalities a little bit better. And if you approach any situation with love, then the personalities is like, okay, you have a coming with a different understanding. Okay, that's just him. He gonna say some stuff like that. But that's the point of me when I said to jump. When you approach a situation where you're allergic to giving up, I'm not coming at you to try to figure out why we're not together. I'm coming at you to figure out, okay, what we need to figure out so we can stay together. And that's my mindset. You understand what I'm saying? So, and I think that if we had gotten to something and we both came out with that understanding, then we'll be able to move further a lot faster.
And he makes a great point. You would, if you're thinking of it, of how do we stay together, you would have realized also that your comment didn't help. That's the problem. You will realize your comment didn't help, and that's where people didn't. That's why I keep saying that people miss it. That and I saw in the chat, a lot of people are like, she's got a bad attitude. She has, but you don't realize that what he was saying ain't helping nobody. Right? And it's a good point, RP, right? He realized he has to be a bigger person. He should have been a bigger person from the beginning. That's the problem. You see, as men, this is me speaking from men to men now. As men, we are the leaders in when we interact. So I'm not going to settle myself to your level to prove to you that I'm the bigger person still, because I'm not the bigger person at that point. I'm also not leading well when I do what you do. You being rude, so I'm going to be rude, and then tell you can't be rude. That doesn't make sense. In fact, a lot of our parents used to do the same thing. Don't do this, but then do it right in front of you. And then be like, I told you not to do it. But we're looking at you going, why are you doing it then? It doesn't work like that. Good leadership doesn't do the very thing that they're telling you not to do. And then be like, well, I'm a leader, so I can do whatever I want. You know what I'm saying to you? That's not good leadership. So he could have done this half an hour ago and softened the blow. If he had the skills, he said he's a writer. He said he's a communicator. He says he's a listener. If he's a listener, then he should have delivered that earlier.
Okay.
Right.
GG.
I agree with everything that he said, and I just really wish things were not said the way they were said. And I do feel like after getting to know you that you are more of a serious person with a silly personality, and I get it. You know, we don't know if your friends think you funny. You said you're funny. I think you do have. I do think that you have a fun personality, and I get where you're coming from, especially with the backstory, because everybody has a story. His story, her story. The reason we are who we are is because of the stories and the things that we've been through. So I completely understand that. And I just wish that, you know, things weren't so heated, because I feel like, just like BM said, it's like when we do get agitated or irritated, we respond differently. Mm-hmm. With me, I did get agitated and irritated, not just because of you talking to me, but what you were saying to other people. So I feel like when it did get to me, I was like, oh, you about to go back and forth with me. And it was just that instance, that one, it wasn't you, because then everyone's like, oh, he was on this and this. And I was like, let's try to watch all this stuff, because I don't care to get to, like, I'm knowing you now. So knowing you now, I know that you are a strong person. You are a resilient person. You're somebody who's striving for things, and, you know, you're scaling businesses and your life and all those things. So like getting to know you, I feel like you are a good person. We could be good friends. And that's why sometimes getting to know a person as a friend is how you probably find your lover, because they are supposed to be your best friend. But it's like, you're not going to get to know that after saying, so why did you pop your balloon? She asked me that, and it was like, like, I can't use, like, you really can't get deep.
Now, is it not interesting? She did the exact same thing. Yes, she did the exact same thing. She could have said all these beautiful things at the very beginning, and we ain't. See, both parties now could have saved themselves a half an hour conversation of frustration and pain if we started the way that we're going to go end it now. Now, it's a good ending, but we could have done this at the very beginning, because what it done is that everybody's back was against the wall, because everybody was willing to fight, right? Everybody's willing to fight, but you could have said these beautiful things about him in the very beginning. You made it out like he was an absolute madman, right? And he, you know what I'm saying to you? So we could have done these things at the very jump of the conversation to be able to really have a real conversation, so you could deliver your point, because he wasn't understanding you. And so you wanted to get across to him. You might have had to get more of a buy-in with him, right? You could have said he's a resilient person. He's smart as this. I want you to understand me though. You know what I mean? There could have been a pleading on that case. Like, I want you to understand what I'm coming from. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not here to jump you, to get at you. You know what I'm saying to you? I agree parts of what you said, but here's why I disagree with you. You know what I'm saying to you? We could have done this before. We are doing this 45 minutes into a conversation now, and probably still don't agree with anything we're saying.
Because the question is, why did
these are pleasantries?
And there was, okay, he talked about wigs. Like, what we do to you? And that's just my response as a woman.
Okay, so now that point there, sis, is where you could have brought that to the conversation and said, listen, but instead you went into attack mode. You said, well, he's sassy. Instead of just saying, look, in that moment when he started speaking about wigs, I felt like if you can talk about wigs, then you'll probably talk about me in that way. Then he could have had a chance to respond, like, actually, no, I wouldn't have. That's not what I was trying to say. But then you could have been like, well, it felt like that because men oftentimes, I've experienced men often doing where they talk about a woman's looks, they ended up talking about my looks. That would have brought understanding, but you weren't looking to be understood. And neither was he, because both of you gave us a background and you could have given us a background at the very beginning of the conversation. Instead, we attacked each other. We have no understanding. I mean, more so, she was really attacking him with the words that she was saying, to be honest. I won't put him on the same level, but, you know.
And you'll probably hear a lot of women say that, but also you got to take in what a man is saying. So he's like, listen, I'm not coming for all women. I'm just saying, like, I can't deal with that. You got a whole backstory story, you know, Peruvian, you know, all types of things. So you have a story. So understanding your story, I understand you more. Getting to talk to you, I know that you are a serious person and you're not trying to be a funny guy. You really are just being yourself. So it's like, I don't fault people for being themselves. It's either I accept you or I just let you be. Because I'm not in the business of changing people. So I love who you are. Keep being yourself. Keep striving.
If you're not in the business of changing people, why did you say that you can take a man into the gym? You were in the business of changing people. You were in the business of changing people, sis. Let's not lie. But you know what's happened? Because he's cooled it down, she had to cool down. Because he's cooled it down, she's had to cool it down. And I think this is a really important part to leave it at. Okay? The reality of the situation, and this shirt is very nice. I can't lie to you. It's really looking good on my shoulders. Boy, it look good, you know. Looking handsome and dashing. Somebody sliding them DMs. But look, real spit. You know, I think this conversation is intriguing because we could have had more understanding from the very beginning if we had an understanding mindset. I think she's changed her position because of the fact that he decided to speak words of life into her, and that allowed her then to soften up. I think it's a key lesson for any man and woman, right? The reality situation, men and women are very different. I'm going to be very clear with you. My last note, I said about there are some equalities that when we deal with each other, but I will say this, from what I've learned as a man dealing with women, I'm going to make a very big distinction. Now, because I believe that men are leaders, meaning that they have the authority oftentimes in relationship, means that you've been put in a position. Okay, you've been put in a position. It means that you have the ability, okay, because of your position, to utilize the power that you have. The power that you have, okay, is to speak life into that woman to soften her. Why I say this, and it's not every woman you need to speak life into. By the way, it's not every woman. I'm talking about the woman that you're with. I'm not saying every woman in the world. I'm saying the one that you're with, okay? The reality of the situation is that you are the leader, and so she's watching how you move. This was a great example of that the moment he decided to soften up, to speak words of life into her, she started kikiing, cackling, her 32 teeth came out, and she was able to soften, and now she's able to see your point of view. Lesson to learn for any man out there. You want her to see your point of view? Play the game, because there is a game. It's that simple. You fighting her, trying to nail her, will never win the battle you want to win long term for you, right? You have to play the game. There is a little bit of a softening that needs to happen, and that comes through the conversation. That comes through you being able to see their point of view. That comes through building a bridge. Oh, okay, I see your point here. I don't agree with it, but I see this point here. Right? Now, many men might not want to play this game. No, I don't have to do that. Then you will be divorced and lonely. I don't want to fight with you on this one. It's something you can't get. If we talk about a man's a man, understand that a woman is a woman. And you have to understand that they have not changed. From years ago to now, they have not changed. The laws are still the same. The Bible hasn't changed. And Genesis 3 is still the same. Okay, all right. The woman will pine after her man, and the husband will rule thee. But that rulership is one not of dictatorship, but one of love. That he understands that when he rules for the betterment of the both people in that relationship. That he seeks from a place not to dominate, but to show leadership from a place of transformation through love. And so when I'm doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm trying to speak life. And I'm going to do this from a place of also my behavior is going to be showing you this is not what I want to do. If I feel hurt because you insult me, I'm not now going to insult you to prove to you that I can insult you better, so don't insult me. I'm going to tell you that when you insulted me, this is how I felt. I did not feel respected in this moment. I felt hurt by that. Many of us don't do that because it is easier to attack than it is to surrender and say that when I be vulnerable, I find strength. So in that space, I'm gonna love you and leave you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. I know it's Christmas Day, but we'll do something on Christmas Day. You know what I'm saying? Touch up a little videos or something for you guys as well. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you. Stay locked and stay loaded. We'll see you again once more very, very soon. My, oh my. It ain't easy. Baby, stay locked and loaded. Little black book, you know what time it is.
Little black book, you know what time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is.